Well, in the course of this election campaign, we're inviting all the candidates in Cape Breton for a one-on-one interview on Information Morning. Today, independent candidate Joe Ward. Joe is running in Sydney Glace Bay, which is a new riding, taking in generally what used to be known as industrial Cape Breton. Joe lives in Ashby in the neighborhood of Sydney, where he works as a software developer. And if you're having voter fatigue with 3 elections in just over 6 months, Joe might be having candidate fatigue. He ran for mayor of the CBRM in municipal elections in October. He also ran for the Liberals in the Cape Breton East in the provincial election in November. And now he's put his name forward as an independent candidate in the federal election. Joe, welcome back to Information Morning.
Thank you for having me, Kyle.
So I guess first off, just tell us why you have decided to put your name forward again.
Yeah, so I originally ran for mayor. This is actually going to be the 3rd election in 192 days, which seems kind of crazy, but it's the way the cards fall when they bring the elections so close together. And it's really hard to break out of that mindset when you're sort of geared up and you believe in something and then another election comes along. And normally in politics, there's sort of a process. You invest more time, you might take on a role and then go somewhere else. I think of it as connecting to the local issues and staying focused on that. What's changing is the toolbox. So a municipal toolbox, a provincial toolbox, or a federal toolbox this time. But the problems of the community are still the same. They'll just be affected in different ways at different levels of government.
So you ran provincially for the Liberals. There are some people that are asking, how can you now run as an independent? What do you say to them? Yeah,
it's absolutely confusing because, it's been explained quite a few times, but not everyone gets to hear those explanations. And it was basically a strategic process where the Liberal Party was fully clear about what my intentions were, and I was clear, of course, about what theirs were. But they brought me on board because they thought I had a good chance of winning Cape Breton East, and I agreed only on one condition, that some of the things that I was talking about in my mayoral campaign made it directly into their platform. And so they did, and I actually edited and reviewed before they went in, and that was a commitment to lowering property taxes in communities across the province, but specifically in the CBRM where there's a big disparity between here and Halifax.
So why have you decided to run as an independent this time around?
Yeah, so this is a different level of government, of course. At the time, I agreed only provincially because I was looking at that provincial toolbox. Houston ran that election entirely based on Trudeau and carbon tax and things like that and really distracted from the local issues. At that time, I had an offer from Zach Churchill and the Liberal Party to focus on the things that I wanted focused on here. That's not happening this time. Mike Kellaway doesn't want to touch equalization. Anna Manley doesn't want to touch equalization. And I do. And I have a plan for that. So that's why. It's democracy. I'm participating as an independent. And if they're not going to win my confidence, then I'll challenge them.
So what is this election about for you?
I think, people want to make it about Donald Trump, and there's certainly a threat there, specifically with tariffs. I want to make it about community again. I don't want to talk entirely about Donald Trump. When this election is said and done, it's currently trending towards a Liberal government, but if it goes the other way, it's going to be one of 2 parties. And the MPs that comprise that party are going to be focused in Ontario, in Quebec, and in Alberta. That's where their focus is going to be. If we don't have a candidate that says we have to, focus on Cape Breton as well in our communities and all of the issues that we've had all the way since the 60s, because the only time we've seen any population uptick was recently, and it crashed our housing market. There has to be a local focus. So I do not want to talk entirely about Donald Trump.
So what are you hearing locally then from people?
What am I hearing locally in terms of?
Of the issues.
The issues are really polarized, and it really is that Trump is causing a distraction. And I'm seeing so many discussions online where there's people that would like to vote for me but that are worried about that. And as long as the federal parties are willing to frame the discussion that way, it's going to be more difficult for me to break through. There is concern still from equalization supporters that that's being overlooked, and it's completely valid because it's if we focus on this and we get an administration in that's entirely about Donald Trump and distracting us on that, then there's not going to be anything done by either of the parties here significantly over the next 4 years.
So what are some of the priorities, some of the top priorities for you for this riding?
Local focus, but so I have a very specific strategy for equalization. I'm tired of hearing people say that they can't get equalization funding here because I think the opportunity is so close and so easy to achieve that it would be foolish not to pursue it. But I'm very practical as well. So if elected, I'd like to go to the Federal Department of Finance. That's who calculates the equalization allocation for each of the provinces. They have this massive spreadsheet, and the way they calculate it is by each of general areas or municipalities that have issues like raising taxes or housing taxes, things like that, and some other factors. So what that empowers them to do is, without any legislation, is if they agree with me, to write a letter at the time they calculate equalization, doing only one thing, not telling the province how to spend it, but telling each municipality how much of the funds that were sent to their province was triggered by their economic factors. What that does is it gives someone like Cecil Clark and the CBRM Council a document that says, we know that this amount of money was triggered by us. We don't feel like it's being spent here or spent here effectively. And now we can go to the province and say, Mr. Houston, let's talk about this. Here are the numbers. This is not the community arguing about it. It's the Department of Finance that is telling us this.
So as we mentioned, you have run for mayor of the CBRM provincially as MLA. What has that experience been like for you? Have you learned anything along the way? Yeah,
I learned really there actually is a greater level of vitriol and division with each level of government that you rise up. The greatest level of distraction with the parties has been at this level, at federal. And it was much more issues focused in the mayoral election. I found that for sure. And it's unfortunate because when it's really signal noise, and divisiveness is almost entirely noise. We really have to get back to the issues. And it's like this. The Conservative Party is going to have some policies that will be helpful to people. And the Liberal Party will have policies that are helpful to people. We can't just deny or reject completely one or the other because it's coming from the party. We have to be objective about that, find out what's best for the province, our communities, the country at large, and to choose what's best for us in an objective manner.
So there are 8 candidates running in the riding of Sydney Glace Bay. Why should people vote for you?
Well, I'm the only one that is – well, I won't say I'm the only one, but I'm clearly a person that, because of having no muzzle on me from the parties, no directives from Ottawa, I can speak to the community. And the cool thing is, oftentimes independents are overlooked, but because I ran for mayor and resonated with people and they connected and heard more about my vision and my message, they know who I am this time. So they know I'm a serious competitor, and they know that I always focus on the local community, and then I'm approaching this in an intelligent way. So this is not a protest. This is a real campaign, and I can win this campaign if we add 1,000 more votes to the 9,371 that people offered me in the mayoral election.
Well, Joe, thanks for coming in this morning and for your time.
Thank you very much, Kyle.
Joe Ward is running in Sydney Glace Bay as an independent candidate. We wrap up our candidates' profiles tomorrow morning with one-on-one interviews with Jeff Evely of the People's Party of Canada and Chris Gallant of the Canadian Future Party.